The history of financial speculation is marked by extraordinary figures whose philosophies continue to influence generations of traders. Among them, Jesse Livermore stands out as perhaps the most iconic, a man who won and lost fortunes multiple times during the early 20th century. Livermore distilled his lifetime of market battles into principles that remain profoundly relevant. At the heart of his trading philosophy was one uncompromising law: a speculative commitment, if correctly timed, must show a profit almost immediately. If it does not, the position must be closed without hesitation, without hope, and without regret. This thesis explores Livermore's law of immediate confirmation, its psychological foundations, its implications for risk management, and its enduring applicability in modern markets. By contrasting the behavior of the professional speculator with that of the amateur trader, the study highlights how Livermore's philosophy transcends time. His rule was not simply a tactical guideline, but a complete framework for aligning human psychology with the realities of market behavior. So, the speculator versus the investor. Livermore drew a sharp line between the investor and the speculator. The investor's role was to hold positions for months or years, patiently enduring downturns with the expectation of eventual appreciation. Dividends, fundamental growth, and long-term perspectives shape the investor's world. The speculator, however, pursued a different objective. His task was not to wait for time to vindicate his judgment, but to anticipate market movements and time them precisely. For him, an immediate profit was not merely desirable, but essential. It signaled that the underlying forces of supply and demand had aligned, and that the trade was in harmony with the market's line of least resistance. An immediate loss, on the other hand, signified poor timing and demanded swift exit. By establishing this distinction, Livermore defined speculation as an art of immediacy. It was not the patient nurturing of an investment, but the rapid validation of a hypothesis. This distinction also explains why his approach remains misunderstood by amateurs who confuse patience with discipline and hope with strategy. The fatal flaw of the amateur. The average trader approaches the market with a dangerous mindset. When he buys a stock and it declines, he rationalizes the setback as temporary. He convinces himself that patience will be rewarded, that his judgment is fundamentally sound, and that the stock will eventually rebound. Sustained by hope, he often averages down his position, believing he is acting wisely. In reality, this behavior violates the most critical principle of speculation. Instead of recognizing error and cutting losses, the amateur reinforces failure. Hope, far from being a virtue, becomes a liability. It blinds him to opportunity, chains him to losing positions, and gradually erodes both his capital and his psychological resilience. Livermore rejected hope as a trading tool. For him, hope was the siren song that lured countless traders onto the rocks of ruin. By demanding immediate profit, he cut off the possibility of hope taking root. A trade was either right or wrong, and the market delivered its verdict almost instantly. The principle of the first loss. Livermore's insistence on immediate confirmation ties directly to his famous maxim, "The first loss is the best loss." The logic is simple, but profound. A losing trade that is cut early is small, manageable, and inconsequential. A losing trade that is allowed to fester grows into a threat not only to financial capital, but also to mental clarity. Every moment spent rationalizing or hoping for recovery consumes energy that could be devoted to identifying new opportunities. The first loss, then, is not simply a financial event, but an informational one. It tells the speculator that his judgment was flawed, his timing premature, or the market unready. By accepting the loss, he pays a small fee for invaluable insight, while preserving his ability to act again from a position of strength. The amateur, by contrast, converts speculative losses into unwanted investments. He convinces himself that his trade is no longer a short-term commitment, but a long-term position. In doing so, he avoids the psychological pain of admitting error, yet locks himself into a strategy he never intended to pursue. Livermore explicitly warned against this self-deception, arguing that to blur the line between speculation and investment was to invite disaster. Confirmation as market diagnosis. To Livermore, immediate profit was not merely a numerical gain, but a diagnostic signal. He sought confirmation that his judgment was correct through several observable criteria. First, a decisive price movement was essential. A stock poised for a major advance would not creep forward timidly, but surge with conviction. Hesitation or stagnation was a sign of unresolved resistance. Second, he demanded strong volume. Price movements unsupported by volume were suspect, often the result of manipulation or isolated enthusiasm. Genuine advances required broad participation and conviction, reflected in heavy trading activity. Third, the ease of execution was a critical signal. When Livermore was on the right side, he found that his orders were absorbed smoothly by the market. When he was wrong, his own buying seemed to be the only force sustaining the stock, and once his efforts ceased, prices sagged. Finally, Livermore observed the action of related stocks. A leader in one sector needed confirmation from its peers. An isolated advance was dangerous. A coordinated movement across a group signaled that deeper market forces were at play. Taken together, these criteria transformed immediate profit into a comprehensive diagnostic system. They provided the speculator with confidence rooted not in emotion, but in evidence. Psychological and strategic benefits. The psychological benefits of Livermore's law cannot be overstated. By enforcing immediate confirmation, he freed himself from the corrosive effects of doubt and hope. His decisions became binary, either validated by the market or swiftly abandoned. This clarity preserved not only his financial capital, but also his mental energy. The speculator, unburdened by losing trades, could scan the market with fresh eyes, always prepared to act on the next high-probability opportunity. In contrast, the trader chained to losses became obsessed with a single mistake, blind to broader opportunities. Strategically, this principle aligned perfectly with effective risk management. By ensuring that losses were cut early, Livermore ensured that when he was wrong, the damage was small, and when he was right, the rewards were large. This asymmetry, small losses, large gains, is the foundation of long-term survival in speculation. Modern relevance. Though Livermore traded in an era of ticker-tape machines and open outcry, his principles remain as relevant as ever. Modern markets may operate at lightning speed, dominated by algorithms and global flows of information. But the psychology of traders has not changed. Hope, fear, greed, and denial still dictate human behavior, and the market still rewards discipline while punishing self-deception. The lesson for contemporary traders is clear. Demand immediate confirmation. Do not allow a trade to linger in mediocrity. Do not rationalize or hope. The market must prove you right swiftly. If it does not, exit without hesitation and preserve the resources necessary to seize the next opportunity. Conclusion: Jesse Livermore's law of immediate confirmation encapsulates a philosophy of speculation that transcends time. It is not merely a trading tactic, but a comprehensive framework combining psychology, risk management, and market analysis. At its heart lies a ruthless rejection of hope. Where amateurs cling to losing trades, Livermore demanded that the market validate his judgment immediately. An immediate profit was not simply financial reward, but confirmation that he was aligned with the market's line of least resistance. An immediate loss was not a catastrophe, but an invaluable signal to withdraw. By internalizing this principle, Livermore transformed speculation from a gamble into a disciplined profession. His rule remains as vital today as it was a century ago. For the trader who seeks survival and long-term profitability, the lesson is unmistakable. Cut losses quickly, demand confirmation, and never let speculative ventures decay into unwilling investments. In the end, Livermore's greatest contribution was not a secret system or formula, but a mindset, one that insists on clarity, rejects self-deception, and aligns with the timeless rhythms of the market. His law of immediate confirmations stands as a beacon for all who would walk the treacherous path of speculation. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.